People look at Sigma males and think they have it easy. No chasing approval, no playing the social games, no need to fit in. From the outside, it looks like freedom. But what most people never see is the price that comes with that freedom. Sigma males don't walk around talking about their struggles. They keep it quiet. They don't complain. They don't explain, and they don't ask for sympathy. That silence makes people think nothing ever gets to them. But the truth is, their life is often harder than anyone realizes. Because when you live differently, you clash with the world in ways others never face. The very traits that give them strength are the same traits that make people push back, test them, or even turn against them. And that's why Sigma males secretly carry a weight most people will never understand. So let's break the silence and uncover the 8 hidden reasons their life is much harder than it seems. 1. They get punished for being independent. Freedom is nothing else but a chance to be better, wrote Albert Camus. Yet that same freedom, when lived out through independence, often brings more resistance than reward. On the surface, independence looks like freedom. You don't chase approval, you don't need a crowd, and you make your own choices. But for Sigma males, that same independence often comes back to bite them. People don't admire it the way you'd think. They get uncomfortable with it. Friends may take it the wrong way, calling them distant or cold. Family might think they don't care enough because they don't lean on others for every decision. And in work or leadership situations, it can get even trickier. When a Sigma speaks up with a clear idea or challenges the usual way of doing things, it can put a boss or superior on edge. Nobody likes being made to look unprepared or foolish, especially in front of others. Instead of seeing value in his independence, they see a threat. And threats usually get punished with pushback, extra obstacles, or by quietly shutting doors that should have been open. Outside of work, the same pattern shows up. People sometimes isolate the independent one. Invitations fade. Opinions get brushed off. Even jokes are made to drag him back down to the normal level, where everyone else feels safe. That's the price of being truly independent. It keeps him strong, but it also guarantees resistance. The very trait that gives him freedom is the same one that makes life harder in ways most people never notice. 2. Their honesty earns enemies, not allies. Honesty is a very expensive gift. Don't expect it from cheap people, warned Warren Buffett. And that truth cuts deep, because for Sigma males, honesty doesn't earn applause. It earns resistance. When a Sigma chooses his words, he does it carefully. He's not reckless with his thoughts, and he doesn't drop truth like a weapon. He filters, but he doesn't decorate. What comes out is simple, direct, and steady. And that's where the problems start. He's not trying to embarrass anyone or start arguments, but that kind of raw honesty doesn't win applause. It builds quiet resentment. People laugh when someone tells funny truths about others, but when the spotlight turns on them, suddenly honesty feels like an attack. This is why Sigma males often notice the shift in energy around them. Friends may pull back, coworkers may label them difficult, and even family can bristle when uncomfortable truths are put on the table. The irony is, most of the time they're saying what everyone else is already thinking, but doesn't dare admit. Instead of getting respect for cutting through the nonsense, they end up with enemies, people who would rather protect their illusions than deal with reality. And that's the hidden struggle. Telling the truth doesn't make a Sigma popular, it makes him a target. 3. They don't chase approval, and it costs them. Man is by nature a social animal, Aristotle once said, and modern psychology agrees. Humans are wired to seek belonging. Approval acts like social glue, keeping people bonded to the group. But Sigma males don't play into that instinct. They don't bend their words for applause or adjust their choices to fit in. And while that earns respect, it often strips away acceptance. Studies on social conformity show that people distrust those who don't seek validation. It unsettles them when someone seems immune to pressure. Instead of admiring the independence of thought, many see it as arrogance, even rebellion. This creates a hidden cost. Opportunities close, not because the Sigma lacks skill, but because he refuses to flatter. Friendships fade, not from conflict, but from the quiet discomfort people feel when their approval carries no weight. Even in family settings, it can spark distance. Loved ones misread the lack of praise-seeking as detachment. The irony is, Sigma males value connection. They want loyalty, depth, and truth. But when you don't chase approval, people often assume you don't need them at all. And that misrating builds walls before real bonds can form. What looks like strength from the outside often becomes isolation on the inside. Because in a world fueled by validation, refusing to ask for it means paying the price in silence. 4. They see through people too easily. Imagine sitting in a room and noticing every false smile, every forced laugh, every tiny inconsistency in someone's words. For most people, those details slip by unnoticed. For a Sigma, they land like alarms he can't switch off. It sounds powerful, but it's exhausting. Because when you see too much, you also carry the weight of knowing things you wish you didn't. You can spot when a friend is pretending to be fine, when a family member hides resentment behind polite words, or when someone's support comes with hidden envy. The hardest part is that you can't always say it out loud. If you do, you risk sounding paranoid. If you don't, the truth just sits there, gnawing at you. This is why even close connections can feel heavy. It's not that he wants to distance himself. It's that pretending not to notice takes energy. And when people sense he can see past the surface, they often get defensive, even when he hasn't accused them of anything. Instead of being appreciated for insight, he's treated like the odd one out, the person who overthinks. The irony is he's not overthinking. He's just noticing what's really there. And living with that constant awareness makes the world feel less like connection and more like a stage play he can't fully enjoy. 5. Their silence is always misread. Silence can mean many things: thought, calm, even strength. But when a Sigma goes quiet, people rarely see it that way. They assume it's judgment, arrogance, or disinterest. And those assumptions follow him everywhere. At work, his silence in a meeting might be mistaken for defiance. Among friends, a pause in conversation can be seen as coldness. Even in close relationships, the lack of constant chatter can leave others feeling unwanted. What they don't realize is that his silence isn't emptiness, it's presence. It's him processing, listening, or simply choosing not to waste words. But because silence makes people uneasy, they project meaning onto it. They imagine criticism where none exists, distance where there's actually focus. And over time, that misunderstanding pushes people to treat him like an outsider. But his silence often comes from respect. He won't interrupt, he won't argue endlessly, and he won't speak just to fill the air. Yet instead of being valued, that restraint makes him look mysterious, intimidating, or even unfriendly. So while others think quiet protects him, it often does the opposite. It creates tension, suspicion, and walls he never asked for. His silence should bring peace, but more often, it's the very thing that makes life harder. 6. They carry respect, but not understanding. Respect feels good, but it's not the same as being understood. And that's the invisible weight Sigma males live with. They're often respected for their calmness, their ability to stay collected, their refusal to get dragged into nonsense. But that respect is usually shallow. People see the surface strength and stop there. They don't ask what it costs to hold everything together. They don't notice the struggles hidden behind the composure. That gap creates a strange isolation. On one hand, he's admired, seen as the reliable one, the stable one, the one who can be counted on. On the other, Few take the time to really listen, to peel back the layers, to understand the person behind the role. Even in close circles, this divide shows up. Friends lean on him for advice, but rarely check how he's holding up. Colleagues trust his judgment but miss his humanity. Family respects his independence, but assumes it means he never needs help. And that's the quiet reality. Respect without understanding feels hollow. It builds an image, not a connection. People think they honored him, but what they give is distance. And while he carries it with grace, the truth is simple. Admiration without being known can feel more like a mask than a compliment. 7. They outgrow people faster than expected. People inspire you, or they drain you. Pick them wisely. Jim Rohn's words explain one of the quiet struggles Sigma males face. They grow quickly, in thought, in perspective, in the way they shape their lives. And that pace often leaves others behind. Psychologists call it asynchronous development, when someone's inner growth moves faster than their environment can match. For Sigmas, this means they often find themselves on different wavelengths with friends, coworkers, even family. The jokes stop landing, the conversations feel shallow, and what once felt like home starts to feel confining. It's not arrogance. It's not that they think they're better. It's simply that their focus shifts faster. While others cling to the comfort of routine, they're already scanning for what's next, what's deeper, what's more aligned with their values. And that difference creates distance no one openly acknowledges. The hardest part is that outgrowing people doesn't come with a goodbye. It comes with silences that stretch longer, with dinners that feel empty, with connections that quietly fade. Those left behind rarely understand. They assume disinterest, coldness, or betrayal. In truth, the Sigma is simply moving at a pace few can keep. Growth should feel like freedom. But for these individuals, it often feels like loss, because every step forward means another person they quietly can't take with them. 8. They're tested more because they don't play along. Human groups thrive on conformity. Say the right things, follow the script, nod at the right moments, and you'll be accepted. Sigma males break that rhythm simply by being themselves. They don't nod when they disagree. They don't laugh at jokes they don't find funny. They don't fake interest to fit in. And that non-compliance puts a spotlight on them. Suddenly, people feel the need to test them. It could be subtle, a sarcastic comment, a challenge in front of others, or being excluded just to see if they'll react. Or it could be more direct, like someone pushing them to prove their loyalty or toughness. What most don't realize is that Sigmas don't seek these tests. They don't crave conflict or competition. But by not playing along, they invite it anyway. People can't stand when someone refuses to follow the same script. It feels like defiance, even when it's just authenticity. That's why Sigma males often live under more pressure than they admit. They're not just living life. They're constantly being measured, questioned, and pushed simply because they won't blend in. And over time, that weight builds, not because they can't handle it, but because it never really stops.